Hello, I'm Roy. I've been working on a generator rack. It was to replace the one I currently have, which is a Onan Marquis Gold 5500. However, this rack should, in theory, fit other generators with the same bolt pattern. I'll kind of give you the measurements and stuff like that when we go over there. But so this is the base plates. Essentially how it works is you've got a reinforcement strip here. On the one you'll see there's two strips right here to reinforce where the holes are. Also when you put in the brackets, it makes it a little bit stiffer as well so it doesn't flex in the middle as much. Everything is adjustable on these slots, which is really nice, so you should be able to use any size generator. I'll show you the one I have just for size comparison because your only limitation is space inside that cavity. From there, there's two ways to assemble this. If you have a welder, you can weld it just fine, saves you some money. If you don't have access to a welder, which I've figured most of you don't, this thing can also be bolted together. I've done an FEA analysis on this. It works just fine. From the FEA, I actually took it from Florida to here where I'm at now, which is Colorado on the western slope. And through that, I used Highway 70. And Highway 70 is one of the roughest highways I've ever encountered. There's actually a Tacoma without had a ripped off axle over there. But the generator rack I installed, this one specifically that we're talking about today, it actually held up just fine. I had no damage, but like there was tons of vibrations because my suspension shot my RV. I just recently fixed it, which gives me confidence. Pretty much any size generator you throw in there, weight's not going to be an issue because it's pretty overbuilt. By pretty, I mean very overbuilt. So this is the generator cabinet right here. I highly recommend, I'll have a link to the fan that I used, to definitely put a heat exhaust fan in here, just because it kind of helps remove that heat away from the generator. It doesn't really add much noise. It's actually very quiet, the one specifically that I bought. From there, I'll kind of open it so you guys have a better idea what's inside. So I currently have the GenMax 7250i, and it seems to be doing pretty well. It has the 50 amp outlets, which is really nice. It does not have a two wire start. Instead, it has a 3-wire start. However, you can rewire a 3-way to be a 2-way, which I'm working on it right now. When I figure out how to do it, I'll definitely create a video for it. What you're definitely gonna have to do though is for the exhaust port is cut a hole wherever that exhaust goes, just so that way you can evict all of the exhaust fumes out from underneath. It prevents carbon dioxide or carbon monoxide buildup and stuff of that nature. Then if we go towards the front, you'll see there's not a whole lot of space. That's definitely going to be your biggest limitation when putting in a generator. This is probably the biggest generator I personally would recommend. You could go bigger hypothetically, but it's going to be really hard to access the front of it unless you cut out that backside. If you cut out the backside, then hypothetically you could put an even bigger generator in it. But it all depends on how your generator bay is set up. From here, you're going to have feet, and the feet kind of look like this. This is the first generation generator foots. Essentially, that just bolts on this slot right here, and it goes directly up against the generator. It has a hole, so that way you can wrap a strap around it. The reason why with the straps around is just because it's easier to access the sides. So when it's time for an oil change, all you have to do is undo the strap. Then you can, for this generator specifically, you can pop off this cover, and then you have access to everything that you need. So for me, my oil port's right there for when I do oil changes, so I don't have to remove the generator each time. I can simply just dump that out and put fresh oil in it. I also have, this is a dual fuel generator. I typically run it off propane. As you can see, this is the propane line right here. And this runs back. It's the easiest way if you're doing this. Do it off propane, just because propane runs cleaner. Your generator is going to last longer. I do have a backup gas. The fuel pump's right here. I haven't actually mounted it yet, but it essentially just feeds gas into the not the tank, but it feeds gas directly into the fuel injection system, because this generator is fuel injected, which is why I bought it, for reliability. The fan, I just plugged into the 120 outlets, and then as you can see, the controller is right here for the fan speed. It works really well. I haven't had any problems. Whenever the generator kicks on, it takes a few seconds so the fan turns on, so I don't have to turn the fan on each time. The other one you're seeing is for the fuel pump. So this right here goes directly to the fuel pump. The last thing I want to touch upon is actually how you put the generator on the rack. So this bolt back here can actually pivot. So what you would do is you loosen up you remove this bolt, but leave the two back bolts in. Put like a piece of wood down here, and this whole tray will pivot. Of course, you would have to remove the bolts here and the bolts over there. That way you can access it. But when you do that, it's very easy. So you can actually put a generator in that doesn't fit like this tall. You can put one much taller than that. Makes it pretty easy. And also, all the parts, I'll have Amazon links to everything. I'm not going to suggest a exhaust hanger, just because the one I bought is obviously not the wrong size, and I had to use a rock to make it work. So I'm not going to suggest one of those. Just go on Amazon, get a generic one for a 1.5 inch pipe. The other thing is, I'm not going to suggest a fuel pump, because everybody's RV is going to be a little bit different, requiring certain amounts of lift, which pretty much any generic fuel pump should work, but don't quote me on that. It's definitely spec one out for your application. And just to kind of show, these are the fins I was talking about earlier. That gives it a little bit more strength. On the second generation, which is the one that's available to you guys, these fins actually come down a little bit further to add further strength. Also to note, these little brackets, they're going to be taller. They're going to be about yay tall, and then they're going to bend back. That way, when it's holding the generator, it shouldn't be poking this bottom side. It's going to be touching the whole face. So back here, you're going to notice, I don't know if you can see on the phone, but I actually cut out, there's a black plastic piece I cut out. And that just, if you cut this out, if you get this generator, it just makes it easier for if you need to remove the exhaust. You've got 2 bolts on that adapter. It makes it a lot easier to reach those bolts, because if you don't remove that black plastic piece right here, it's just a nightmare. I dropped a bolt back there, and then it took me about an hour to unscrew it. So definitely, if you get this generator, definitely cut this out, 100%. And yeah, that's the setup.
Okay, so this is the generator cradle that we were just talking about earlier. This is the second generation of the cradle. It needed some improvement, such as holes for cable management. So these little holes you can use a zip tie, have a cable run underneath, and zip tie it to the base plate. Same thing with here, 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 and there. I also added a couple of wire holes, so you can bring in your wires, your fuel lines, whatever you need. And it's a mirror on the other side. Then these are the tabs, or not the tabs, the brackets that actually hold it down. Like I mentioned before, these are the second generation. So essentially it's kind of bent backwards, so that way it's easy to access the bolts on this side. You also have the eyelet kind of bent in this direction, just so it's easier to put like a tie down strap. For this, I don't really recommend ratchet straps at all. I recommend the pull tight straps, which work a lot better. These are bent in a different manner because you can actually put the bolts here and here. It frees up a little bit more play moving it back and forth, because you're going to want to put that backside of the generator as close as you can to this with leaving a little bit of a gap. That way, that exhaust fan that you saw on the door earlier, can kind of evict that heat a little bit better. This setup can be either welded or bolted, like I said before. As for the measurements, which is a little important, The default hole to hole we're looking at 18.5 inches. That's going to be the distance from the stock holes. And remember, this is aluminum. So if you need to put in a bolt hole, say right here, that's completely fine. Same thing with right here. You don't really have to use these bolt holes if you don't want to. They're just there because, from my understanding, that is the place where the majority of bolt-in applications for the RV generators area is. Then we're looking at from the base plates to the hole, you're going to be at 4.5 inches. So if you measure on your RV where it bolts in from this point all the way up to the top of the cabinet, then you add 4.5. That's going to give you your max height of the generator. From there, we want to measure how wide it is. Now, this is going to be a measurement that can't change. So we're going to select this face and this face. 34.25 inches. So these sides both will flex quite a bit. So you could call it 34.25 plus or minus 0.25 inches. So between 34 and 34.5, you should be golden. If you have the application, you could even stretch it to 34.75 if you really wanted to. These two portions are optional. So this is just holding on the size of the generator, just make it a little bit more professional. I personally am going to be purchasing one of these, but just for the backside. The front side is going to be remain a strap for my application, but if you want to go to this setup, that's perfectly fine. You can order two of these. Same thing with this. If, say, you wanted four of these brackets instead of two of these brackets and two of these brackets, you can also do that. In the next portion of the video, I will be showing that. Also, I almost forgot. So you also need the front to back distance as well to help determine if your generator will fit on this rack. So you're looking at 25 inches. Keep in mind, where you bolt it, it can also overhang a little bit on both sides. As long as your wheels are on this frame, that's perfectly fine. And if you're doing the setup to where the face of the generator is facing out kind of this way, then you're going to want it might overhang a little bit behind. So I'm going to check this just in case you guys need that measurement. You'll have it there. So from this face to this face, if your generator is overhanging a little bit, it needs to be 26.75 or less inches wide in order to go that route. If you do decide you want to go ahead and buy one of these, you can go to the link below, and the link below will take you directly to the Sin marketplace. From there, just remember that these four tabs do not come with it. It's just this bottom rack right here. You want to select add. Also keep in mind that this description should be the exact same as it is on YouTube. You select add to carts, it'll drop it into the carts. When you want to get the brackets as well, because obviously they don't come with it, just because everybody's application is different, you just open up the other tab, select add to carts, and it should populate in that cart just fine. These come in sets of two, just because from my end, from what I can see when they do volume stuff, it's cheaper. So it was cheaper for me to do two sets. You buy those two sets rather than buying two of those one sets. The L bracket is coming soon that I was talking about for those sides. That still needs to be approved by Sin because everything I upload to them, they have to approve beforehand. And yeah, it should be the exact same process. So, but yeah, thank you for watching the video. I hope this helps. And yeah.